Okay,
No pressure.
Talk about
Good.
pressure.
we're good. Go for it.
This is an update on the role of the Ratepayer Advocate, but there are a couple things I'd like to say to start. One is the role of the office is to do public, independent analysis of issues that affect rates. And the office is part of the city, not part of DWP. So it's a city position, and I am obligated to report my perspectives to the DWP board, to which I officially report, but they don't instruct me, city council, the mayor, neighborhood councils, and the public. And since there are 95 neighborhood councils, and until 2 weeks ago, only me, and now, effective 2 weeks ago, Kim and Collins joining the office as the deputy director, I've been reaching out through council districts and through neighborhood councils to the communities. So the good news is the professional technical staff has doubled in the last month. Second, my office is located in the Figueroa Plaza building downtown. We're in the same location as buildings and safety. The problem is the parking rates in that building are $22 for just a couple hours, and it's not very convenient to City Hall, where neighborhood council more commonly meet. So it looks like I'm going to be able to move back to the broader City Hall complex, City Hall East, or City Hall Out, or City Hall South, or City Hall itself in the next 3 to 6 months. So it'll be easier to come and see me at that point in time. Now, in terms of substantive things, I'd like to talk about two things that can be affecting us as ratepayers. One is an immediate issue that we all need to be aware of. DWP is doing outreach on it, but since this is going to hurt, people need to know soon and be able to take action on it. Second is to talk about the feed-in tariff program and what that means. It isn't all solar programs, it's just one program that's a problem. First, we're going to have some water rate adjustments because of drought conditions over the next 3 to 6 months. They're going to step up quite substantially. This top line here, red?
Yes.
Good. I'm colorblind. I need help.
You want your pointer?
Yes, I do want that pointer. This is the total average city water rate over the last few months. We had a very good period with water in 2011, and then showed up as a low rate in the first quarter of 2012. Well, because of drought, because of environmental and drought restrictions on flow in the LA Aqueduct is flowing the least amount of water in its 100-year history this year. And that means more purchases from the Metropolitan Water District. At the same time, the Western Sierra has a drought. And that's going to create a number of increases. Water rates going from 2012 up to 2013, third quarter to third quarter, rates are going up 20%, the total rate. And from this low point back here 2 years ago, in the first quarter of 2012, it's going to go up a total of 47% on a quarter-to-quarter basis, from the low to the high. So what that means is, and these are costs, DWP is not netting any more money. This money is really going to MWD to pay for water out of the Sacramento Basin, largely. It means if you want to manage your bill, you need to start thinking about conservation things you're going to do right now, because this is going to start hitting hard in October 1, and it's going to notch up some more January 1. So get the word out. Let your colleagues in your neighborhood councils get out. DWP has some press releases on this. You can take those off the DWP website, but it's important to reach out to your communities on this, because there are going to be some people who are suffering serious sticker shock when that comes in. The second area is the various solar programs. And the city has really 3 different solar programs. The first is the one your neighbors take advantage of, those that have solar on their rooftops. That's called the Solar Incentive Program, and it operates through something called net metering. You don't get paid for any power you produce, but you get to use it to essentially run your meter backwards down to as low as nearly 0. And you get to take advantage of the energy you produce. That's not a problem program. That's not what I'm complaining about here. There are 2 feed-in tariff programs. These apply to projects that are 30 kilowatts to 3,000 kilowatts. The typical house installation is 5 kilowatts, so these are 6 to 600 times your typical house program. And at some points here, I will refer to this as 30 kilowatts to 3 megawatts. A megawatt is 1,000 kilowatts. And for feed-in tariff, there's no load at the site. The person that is doing the feed-in tariff as a feed-in tariff participant, they're selling all the power from their solar. It is not being used in an industrial facility. It's not being used in a commercial facility. It's going directly out onto DWP's wires. They're really vendors and not customers per se. So in some of the PR blast on this, you hear this is customer friendly. No, there are no customers involved here. It's vendor friendly. And there is a smaller program called the Fit 50 program. It's linked to some large solar projects in Kern County. That's not the program I have a problem with. That program is going to be dealt with by auction, so people are bidding to participate in that program. The program I'm concerned with is the Fit 100 program, which is for projects of 30 to 3,000 kilowatts in basin, and there's no bidding. It's a set price program. My problem is not with the program itself, but with the prices that have been set. The first allocation of these projects was for 20 megawatts. That's 20,000 kilowatts of projects at 17 cents a kilowatt hour. It was overbid by a factor of 5. There are sub buckets. Some of the buckets were just filled. That was for very small projects. Other buckets were overbid by multiples, and then that's my problem program. How do these programs work? On February 1st, this program was first opened for 20 megawatts at 17 cents. For perspective, the average residential rate is 13.6 cents right now. I hate to say it, but we're buying and we're paying 17 and hoping to make it up on volume. That would be facetious if that wasn't our money on this. And then this next step is taking it down to 16 cents, retail rate again 13.6. We're going to pay for this later, and we're going to pay for it a long time. These are 20-year contracts that are being signed. The price is locked in for 20 years. Somebody gets one of these, it goes for a long time. And once it's a contract, it's a contract. It's a 20-year contract, no change in that. The state, why should we reconsider this? This program was first suggested in January. How have things changed? The state requires a FIT program. It doesn't require pricing above the renewable market prices. And so I'm not comparing to the cost of coal. The prices here I'm comparing to are the prices of renewables. The net burden by ratepayers over the 20-year period on these programs, for what I see for current prices, are from $230 to $300 million over a 20-year period. DWP staff says it's a subsidy of 168. This is a subsidy to vendors over a 20-year period. It's not about carbon. We can do the same carbon reduction with larger scale solar projects at substantially less money. It's a subsidy from the average LADWP ratepayer to commercial and industrial and energy project development interests. It has been recognized in the discussion with the DWP board as being an economic incentive program. My problem is this is a really big economic incentive program. I'm not aware of any other economic incentive program from anybody in LA that is $250 million. And it has negative macroeconomic job impacts. Rates go up, and rates are going up lots of ways right now. It lacks competitive bidding, and this is for almost $550 million in power over 20 years. And based on changed circumstances, we need to review this. We need to think this through. One is the price of other solar renewables, which were discussed being 12 cents at the start of this program, and that was bad to begin with. It's clear that prices are even lower. 9 cents for small projects or for smaller projects, and below 7 cents now for larger projects. The public utilities program that applies to not us, but to Southern California Edison, San Diego Gas and Electric, and PG&E, their program is being reestablished, and the starting price on their program is 8.9 cents. There's dollar signs in the wrong place there. There's also another problem. There's a piling on problem. Ratepayers have taken on almost $1 billion in increased burdens since January, not including the feed-in tariff program. There's the Navajo and IPP project coal elimination. That's about $700 billion over the next 10 years. Not over. This is, and we also have this unanticipated short-term water increase. It adds another several $100 million in the short term. That wasn't anticipated in January. What's the impact? How do these dollars add up? Large solar projects appear to be under 8 cents delivered to desert transmission sites. The PUC has been doing auctions for renewable power. The average for their 1 megawatt to 20 megawatt projects in 2012, for the first 2 quarters of 2012, was slightly under 9 cents per kilowatt hour. The PUC has revamped their feed-in tariff program to the other utilities for projects of this scale, 8.9 cents. And last week, this is new news, the city of Palo Alto did an 80 megawatt purchase from 3 projects. And that 80 megawatt purchase was done at 6.9 cents a kilowatt hour. And to throw a little salt in the wound, one of those projects was based in LA County. We can go to slightly larger projects. The average of those is under 30 megawatts and get prices 6.9. Why are we paying 17 or 16 cents a kilowatt hour? And that the impact of that, if you price things at, if you look at the market at being 6.9 cents or 7 cents, that's a $300 million impact on customers. The impact of this new tranche alone at 7 cents is $75 million in the commitments we could be making in the weeks ahead. So there are the dollar impacts. There's 0 additional carbon benefits. What can we do if we wanted to spend this $250 million differently? Well, if you really cared about carbon, you might want to accelerate shutting down one of the coal plants by a year. Or you could buy twice as much, more than twice as much solar power. So if you cared about handling this through renewables, you can get twice as much solar benefit if you go to Palo Alto scale projects in this process. Or you could give the customers a little rate relief, stick with the existing plan, not spend the extra funds, and reduce this program to market prices. And another way to help you understand the piling on, this is, we have a lot of things that are facing the utility in terms of environmental mandates from state and federal sources, and we're playing catch up on infrastructure. You remember that wonderful period from the mid-90s to the mid-2000s when there weren't any rate increases at all? It was a great time, but what was going on was we quit doing any maintenance on the house. We fell behind in terms of our infrastructure repair in several areas. And as such, DWP forecast, this is a January project. We have basic infrastructure over the next 15 years of 1 to 3 cents that we're going to have to be adding as poles deteriorate. We have expected fuel cost increases. We have the replacement of the coal plants and repowering of the coastal plants. We have the renewable portfolio changes. We have conservation. And then if we really like to solve the fall behind in local poles and local facilities, we'd add another amount on. The end result is, according to this, average rates are going from about 13 cents to about 27 cents if we do all of these steps over the next 16 to 20 years. So we have our prices accelerating over time, which is saying we really got to, instead of asking how much more we might be spending in a program, we got to find out how might we cut our costs. Why should we do this? In January, the DWP board said we should review this in 6 months. We've had some major changes in the last 6 months. Lower prices. PUC, for example, has offered an alternative approach without the ratepayer burden, and other costs for DWP ratepayers have ballooned over the last 6 months. What are alternatives? Continue as originally scoped without review, halt the program, and both the next cycle and stop contract execution, or I proposed a compromise that would allow the smallest projects, the 30 to 150 kilowatt projects, to go ahead. That does have some impact, but study making the larger projects from 150 kilowatts to 3,000 kilowatts and putting them on a market basis. The DWP board rejected that and declined to act on that program on July 19th. DWP turned out a press release tonight saying they're moving ahead with opening that bid process on July 8th. Yes?
You said it was provided to
in late January, led by Jan Perry, she asked the council to reconsider this action before the council. Didn't have the necessary votes to bring it before council. Yes?
The bidding you mentioned, is that for the smaller projects or the big project?
No, for the small projects, it's a set price program.
Okay, so the bidding,
It's what you do is in the set price program, it's first come, first served, but for the first week that the bidding is open, they allow people to bid for the first week or get their bids in, and then they have a lottery. If it's oversubscribed, they have a lottery at the end of the first week for who gets the prices. The last time, in the first round, at the end of that week, they were going to take 20 megawatts of projects, and there were 105 megawatts of offers. So essentially, you were bidding you got into a 10-to-1 lottery as to whether or not your project was going to be accepted.
is the bidding is based on the price?
No, there's no price. It's whether you get to gauge.
So that price is already set, and they're bidding on fulfilling at that price?
Right.
Am I understanding that?
You are correct.
So that's nuts.
How many people bidding?
Yes.
How many people are bidding typically for this? I mean, what is
Is it a concentrated type situation? Is it a crony type situation?
There were a variety of, well, one, you're looking at LLCs, you can't necessarily see who's buying. You're looking at various corporate entities in some of these cases, and it could be the same group behind various, but this is a fairly competitive market at this point. The world annual market in solar cell production is 70 million kilowatts per year. So there's a lot of competition in this business. The prices have been coming down, as you see. So you want to take advantage of that.
Is there any action to be taken to stop this bidding from happening on July 8th?
Call the general manager of DWP. Call your council office.
I've called the council office. I didn't mail it.
The council would have to, I mean, this is a bid that eventually would have to be accepted, and then the council eventually would have to approve it after the DWP board did?
No.
How does that work?
The DWP at the start of this program got the council to waive contract approval for this specific program. So once the contracts are approved by the DWP board and signed, that's a final action on these contracts. These contracts, even though they're longer than the charter required 3 years, that 3-year charter requirement's been waived.
What about the 240? Did they waive the 245 right also?
Well, they tried 245 in January. It's not clear they could 245 this now because there was no action by the board.
But there would be action by the board in accepting and signing the contract right now.
Perhaps.
So it's an open question.
That may, in fact, I don't know. That could have been delegated to staff.
Okay.
Yes.
So are these companies, are they all based in California?
No. There's been a lot of interest from New York. There are people who've been in from Montreal, or excuse me, not from Montreal, but from Toronto.
So where are their panels?
Let me add a note. Toronto, in the province of Ontario, had a feed-in tariff program that they just stopped. There was substantial political conflict.
So where are the actual panels?
The panels have to be installed here. The panels are manufactured worldwide. There are ongoing tariff disputes about potential dumping of Chinese panels, and there are quality questions on some of the Chinese panels.
But the ones who benefit are the companies who own these panels.
If you get a fixed price deal, you benefit. If it's bid, it gets bid down to a competitive price.
And the DWP says they benefit because it helps to offset the dirtier type energy.
Right, but we can get that same offset for half the price. Yes.
New administration, is anybody taking position with them, or is it too new?
They've been generally supportive of this energy. There hasn't been a full discussion yet. Yes.
Federal regulations, so we're talking about power being provided. Could there be any kind of an end-run type situation involved here? Where and the federal regulation component, is that part of it?
Within a municipal utility, it's unclear whether federal rules apply. But it is connected into interstate commerce by some definitions. It's possible EWP is not requiring some of the regulatory components of this, but that's murky legal water.
Okay.
It'd be quickly resolved 10 years from now. At best.
Also, do you know whether or not? I mean, I don't know when the last bond offering was to the DWP, or
They have a because of the spending for once-through cooling, the replacement of the coastal plants, and other programs. They're regularly doing bond offerings right now. They have a very extensive capital spending program.
is this referred to in this kind of detail in those bond offerings, this subsidy that they're giving away? As they're asking lenders to loan money to the DWP?
I just got Camden's just joined the office, and she's reading some of those bond offering documents to catch up. Not much.
Not much? Not much is disclosed?
No.
Okay, that,
Well, they disclose the renewable procurement as a whole. This program's really too small a slice of it to be rising to the materiality threshold
but you're talking this kind of major money over
over
this,
20
over
years.
20 years, and it's a pretty large subsidy that we're giving.
Per year, depending on how you count it, it's 8 to 15 million per year. But it's when you buy a house, you don't say,
That's
I'm
right.
only paying
Exactly.
$36,000 a year for this house. You say, I got a $700,000 mortgage.
And how can you justify I mean, you can get a lower bond rating if in fact you're more efficient in your operation.
Well, these contracts are fixed price, fixed term, take or pay obligations.
So maybe
So as such, they end up in the fixed obligations contract category, which is one of the components of, one of the important components of bond rating. Yes.
Other than my suspicion that it's corrupt and evil, what does the DWP, how do they justify this?
They argue it helps the economic development of this area.
By spending too much or something?
By bringing solar energy in area so that we're not putting the burden out in the desert areas. But I argue, well, gee, the locavores like local vegetables. We ought to have Hollywood Hills vineyards, but only the guys buying the wine pay for that wine. It costs is being spread to all of us for this. This is an expensive place to put solar. Real estate's expensive. Solar needs space. And two, while it's really sunny in Southern California, it's more sunny in the Mojave Desert. And that difference means a lower price. So those are what's offered, and also to show what we're doing to help do our part in terms of solar. My reaction is that's a PR campaign. We just spent $60 million on the recent election campaigns, and so you can buy a lot of PR for $60 million. Why spend $250 or $300?
So this
Yes.
is an in urban
Yes.
solar panels?
It has to be in the city of LA.
so land use people
Where
won't.
Go on.
Well, I was just saying,
That's
so
why it needs to
Keep it clean.
has this been mapped where it's going to go?
They have put maps out of the bids. I don't have that map with me.
And these are properties owned by speculators that want to. I mean, who owns these properties?
Some of it's scattered throughout the city. Some of it's large rooftops. Some large rooftops can't take the weight of the facility, so not all large rooftops. The areas that seem to get the biggest concentration, not surprisingly, are the highest and driest areas of the valley, which is the sunniest areas. That whole northern rim, south-facing hillsides, where you can build on the land. Those are the ground-mounted, but there's also a warehouse fringe in that same area. So it seems to be primarily in that area.
And can you get access to the specific leases that are involved? I mean, I assume they're going to lease the land. I mean, how's that going to?
No.
I see.
I mean, and there are some things I would love to ask on this. It's one, what HUD qualifying economic development jobs are really being created by this process. Two, because these are installer jobs. These aren't 3-year jobs under the HUD requirements. Two, so we're not really creating as many jobs as we can say. Two, what does the financing cost for this group? A lot of these projects probably don't have 3% financing. These guys expect more money. So understand the economics of it. Yes.
Can you clarify for me a little bit more? The first solar incentive was for home solar, and that just allows your meter to go down to zero. There's no
Right.
feeding back in.
And that's an established program,
Right.
not new.
The second one is projects in Kern County.
Well, it involves rooftops in LA combined with projects. It's a linked group of, somebody has to bid for the Kern County project that is a large 50 megawatt site each, 200 megawatts worth, combined with 12.5 megawatts of rooftop.
And the rooftop is commercial work.
Right.
Commercial industrial.
Exactly like the,
And the third one, FIT 100,
is
that's going to be,
not bid, it's fixed price.
it's going to be within LA. It's going to be land-based and rooftop, and the rooftop will be commercial industrial, not residential
Or ground-based.
or ground-based, but
Right.
yet
Multifamily, large multifamily properties could qualify for that.
apartment.
But it's the power out of those solar installations comes 100% to DWP. It doesn't get used on the site. It goes into the system.
So they
The
have,
meter is on the output from that. The cash register is essentially on the output.
so to power their own structure, they would need an independent solar.
Yes, and those can exist only up to a certain size. The run your meter backward program.
So right now, there are no plans for having a solar incentive program for residential where residents would get compensated, should it go negative.
Not that I'm aware of.
Is that something that should be considered?
Yeah.
Yes, but there are a number of things that need to be reconsidered in such a program.
Are you familiar with, was it AB 811?
No, excuse us, but the number of people who have.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Raising your hand.
I'm sorry, okay, sorry. Okay.
Who's next?
Go ahead.
I just wondered if you've talked to the Valley Neighborhood Councils about this?
On the 11th.
You're going there on the 11th, after it's been signed?
Yes, but they don't sort the bids until a week after that, till the 15th. Yes.
So I have two questions. First is a really easy one. Is the map that you're referencing available online someplace?
DWP issued it as part of their staff report, and it may be online under the agenda, under, I think it's item 21A or B.
Do you have it in a way you could send it to us?
I will see what I can do to find it, and I will send it to you for distribution.
Thank you. That would be helpful. The second question is kind of where I think Pat was going a minute ago, which has to do with the timing. And if this gets issued on the 15th, whatever that time period is, the 8th and then the 15th, those first dates pass, is there a second critical time period, or is that kind of it?
There is a total of 100 megawatts of these programs. We've done 20. Not all the contracts are signed on that 20. But if they are all signed, that's about 70 to 80 million. This will be another 70 million or so if this goes through and the deals are signed. We come up to another round of this in January of 2014. That's another 20 megawatts. That'll be, the price is a little lower, but at the same time, the prices on solar projects are dropping. So it's one chasing the other.
Oh, I can, AB 811.
Wait, no, Bob was next.
Oh, sorry, Bob.
Okay. Well, I heard you were going to be here. Thanks for coming. A number of years ago, there was an article in the Washington Monthly about Gainesville, Florida, and how they were successful in encouraging people to do essentially what was rooftop solar, probably on a single-family residence. And it was essentially driven by something called a feed-in tariff. And every time Ron Nichols or somebody would come to the citywide meeting, I would ask about feed-in tariff.
You speak just a little louder, Bob.
Sorry. So I kept asking about feed-in tariff as what seemed like an elementary element of fairness. If you're going to put a solar array on your roof and generate electricity enough to put something out into the grid, then you ought to get paid for it. And not only that, it seemed like a social good to me to encourage it with a modest subsidy. So that was one of the reasons when you said that you were having Fred here, and it's okay, where's the other side of this, which maybe you're already making on your own, is what Carrie said. What is the city doing for, the Peter Warrens of this town who put rooftop solar and may generate more? Am I going on too long? I think the question is legit.
That's a
And
different
will
program.
it actually save carbon, which is important? Will it save pollution, which is important? I looked it up the other day, and we burn 1 billion tons of coal a year. You start to run out of zeros. You have to start using exponential notation. That is an awful lot of global warming.
You came in late, you missed the beginning.
Yeah,
You missed the beginning.
yes,
Um,
that is true. I apologize.
There are, there's the solar incentive program, which is a net metering, which allows you to run your meter backwards. If you produce more kilowatt hours than you use in a month, you get to carry those kilowatt hours to a subsequent month. There's no payment for excess, but you want to size you don't want to let the installer sell you too much in this program. So you don't want to have too many excess kilowatt hours because you're not going to get paid for
Sorry to
it.
interrupt. How does that compare to, say, Germany or other European approaches?
There are, to compare, it's a PhD at this stage to compare the different approaches. You've got to read the footnotes. You've got to understand where people are now.
Do they get paid?
Yeah, some get paid,
Okay.
but the flow forward program can be a better deal. It depends. And the people I know that have been doing these programs, when the air conditioner goes out, they put in a heat pump because it uses electricity for heating. When electric cars come up, they consider buying an electric car. So there's that. And the other component of this is we're getting, most recently, the city of Palo Alto bought 80 megawatts of these in 3 projects and paid under 7 cents. Why should we be paying 50? We can get if we went out and followed that path, we can buy twice as much solar for that same amount of money. So it's reducing the cost of saving that carbon. I contend that carbon reduction is one of our key challenges. We should be doing that as cheaply as possible. So we ought to be heading toward buying this solar as cheaply as we can and not wasting it on 17 or 8 or 16 cent solar.
So your argument is that it should be handled at a governmental level, essentially socializing
Speak
it.
up, Bob, so we can hear you.
No, these are independent projects. Those are independent projects that sold to the city of Palo Alto. Just like these are feed-in tariff projects, they're selling to the city of LA. There's no net metering on these feed-in tariff projects. It's 100% of the output sold by developers to DWP. No customer involved.
Palo Alto, the same.
It's buying it all and selling it to their customers.
Are they making money?
It's a governmental utility. It's another governmental utility. So there may be a city transfer, but
Let's take Miguel. I think that we need to.
Do you have a business card?
yes.
Can you do me a favor? Add it to my wife, and then you guys can have an offline
I'm sorry.
conversation so we can move on with this discussion. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, Miguel.
Thank you very much. I understand we have someone here who wants to say something from a different point of view. We didn't realize this was on the agenda. You may want to stay in case it creates any questions, but I would ask you to be very brief because it is not on our agenda.
Yes, I understand that last year.
And you're going to have to speak loudly.
Yes, I understand that last year fund was asked to provide a commentary on the presentation. And I am.
No.
No?
Okay. Well, am I allowed?
Yes, I said be brief, but yes, you
My
can
name
make
is
a comment.
Alicia Rivera and I'm a member of the Committee for Better Environment. we are members of the Clean LA Solar Coalition, which has put together this program, Feeding Heart. And so I'm not the best person to ask to answer all your questions because I was asked last minute to kind of do that, to kind of and give you some information. So we hope that next time